The week started off with Canada Day. I made a quick round to see some of my birds before heading out into the woods with my mate for life, Jamie. We had a little lunch there and was greeted by a family of Canada Jays. Pretty fitting given the day. Of course, our food was shared with them. Those fledgling jays were fun to watch, so dramatic. After our lunch, we went down to a pond. As Jamie did some trout fishing, I went around recording videos of the area and whatever else I found interesting. It was a lovely day. July is such a lively, beautiful month. Brand new thick foliage. So many pretty wildflowers providing food and cover for bees, butterflies, damselflies, and other critters. How I love seeing the lady slippers too, which are only here for a short time. I've had much luck with seeing several different warblers this year. It's great to be able to add some new videos to the collection. And I was particularly happy to get one of a black-throated green warbler. Even more rewarding was getting videos of them singing, especially the Tennessee warbler. One I've been wanting to record since 2013, the first and last time I had the opportunity. There's just so much to see and do during summer that it can be overwhelming for me. After all, my main focus goes into the birds I have known for years. A lot of time is dedicated to them. It is no stretch to say that typically speaking, I can make anywhere from 3 to 4 trips in one summer day to visit. Nearly every time out with them, I see someone new. Mourning doves have this skittish, cautious way around here. I rarely ever see one. This must be the 3rd or 4th time in 10 years of birding around my small area. Spotting a ruffed grouse is always a treat too, another quite alert and careful bird. The jays seem to be congregating into one area lately, as they all move along with their babies. This should be great for Fiona. The more eyes, the better now that she is a single mom.
What's up, Fiona?
Hanging around the other jays do come at a cost though. With her being timid, a younger jay, and now with no mate to help defend, she is prone to some bullying from the other jays. Fiona has to wait her turn for food, and try to steer clear from ticking these increasingly moody jays off. Blue drops by often now. Sweet Girl too, which is rarer.
Good girl.
The babies are still further up in their territory. I deliberately stay away from them though, because being so newly fledged, it's a vulnerable time. It's apparent that the ovenbird has decided to stay in this woods. Singing occurs often. The blue-headed vireo pair I've been seeing up here stuck around as well, and their nest must be close by because they started dog-bombing Blue as he cached away food. Not wanting to cause those little birds any stress, I had Blue follow me out of the area, allowing the vireos to raise their young in comfort and Blue and Sweet Girl to forage and hide food away in peace. Vireos are another bird I rarely get time to see. I didn't want to pass up this opportunity, so I set my jay buddies up well away from the vireo area to keep them busy, and I went to get some recordings and possibly find the nest. Finding their nest proved difficult, but at least I managed some decent videos of them calling. Down where most of the jays are hanging out, a few fledgling jays are getting more curious and making appearances. A couple have been unable to confirm who their parents are, but one little guy I positively confirmed from seeing it being fed, Mrs. and Mr.'s offspring. For a young couple and first time breeding, they sure did well. Their young were the first to fledge. Little rascally chipmunks come by all of the time, and I've been scolded by an irritated Lincoln sparrow. Anytime I pass by, it's sure to pop out and tell me off. I've always found that funny about these sparrows. How many times I've been followed by one, for a long ways too, certainly far from their nest. They really make sure you get well away from their territory. Each day out here I take a few minutes to see the nuthatches. Maggie comes by all of the time, and it seems that the young male that is with the little female I haven't named is two-timing. I see him often over with Maggie. Still no sign of Hatch. I guess that means he's really gone.
Maggie!
By the end of the week, I was able to confirm Fiona and Hermoso's babies. The two of them look identical to their father. I said to myself that I didn't want to get to know his babies, but now after seeing them, my heart has other plans. These aren't just some random baby jays, they are Hermoso's babies. A jay I've known so very well for many years, like a family pet. Excitement levels are increasing by the day now. How quick baby birds grow. Mr. and Mrs. Little One enjoys exploring and comes out around frequently. They aren't being fed as much by their parents lately because they are being weaned, so to speak. This causes them such distress, screeching all of the time for attention and to be fed. It's tough love. It isn't long before these rascals find the bit of food I lay out for the adults, though. Although not great at pecking and holding peanuts yet, practice makes perfect. Over time, the young ones will get better. Fiona's little ones are always close to where she is, but some exploring does happen occasionally. One of them seems to be just like their dad, quite submissive, not a big fighter. Blue and Sweet Girl are down here now too, but I haven't seen their fledglings yet. I know they are here though. With other jays around, Blue makes sure to give his lady some food offerings. Male jays take their relationship pretty seriously. Well, when other males are around anyway. They stay so close, even preening together. Couples that preen together stay together. Each day I'm seeing more of the other babies. Snowy and Beau's little ones are very close in age to Fiona's. I think they have 4 or 5 this year. One of them has a lot of weight in its face like its mother Snowy. So pretty. It's always watching me too. Another hungry one seemed to get distracted by the sun, almost giving into a full sunning session. Didn't seem to be able to make up its mind at first, be fed or enjoy some sun. I'm noticing that Fiona isn't feeding her young as often anymore. They too are starting to cry and chase their mother around. They are so similar looking, like twins. I've been referring to them as the Formosas as a nod to their dad, whom they look very much like. Just like with Mr. and Mrs. youngsters, one of Fiona's babies stumble upon peanuts and other food too. Watching them trying to figure out how to eat this stuff is heart-melting. One beautiful thing about warm July days is when there is a midday rainfall. How curious the babies are of everything in their environment. It never bores me watching them getting familiar with things. My sweet little lentil still comes by throughout my visit. She is molting heavily now. Adorable. Sweet girl noticed that my hand was out feeding the nuthatches and came by. Blue tried shortly after her too, but was dominated by one of Mr. and Mrs. Offspring. I like its eyes, and I think I'm going to refer to it as Sweet Eyes from now on. What a little rascal. I didn't know what to do, it happened unexpectedly. One great thing about being around these jay families is that other birds are drawn to the raucous noise, like young curious woodpeckers, or a nosy Tennessee warbler. Often mopey pine grosbeaks are nearby foraging too. Other critters like chipmunks and squirrels are always near, which can be a bad thing for baby birds, so I try to drive them away and remove food when I see them. My visits with Maggie are short, but I always make sure to trot up the hill to give her some food to hide away. She's molting quite heavily now and doesn't seem to have a mate. By the end of the week, many of the fledglings are getting well acquainted with one another. Sweet Eyes has graduated to successfully tackling a whole peanut in the shell, even hiding it away. Finally, I have seen one of Blue and Sweet Girl's babies.
One of Blue and Sweet Girl's. Sweet Girl just better.
And then another,
Blue and Sweet Girls.
And another. Good to see that they are all still here. Feisty Jays and Novas are close in age, but I haven't had the chance to see them. Knowing who is who I'm not very good at yet. The only ones I seem to know for sure are Sweet Eyes and Fiona's Formosas. Discerning between those two is tricky. I wish it was easier to tell them apart. I'm working on getting better familiar with Snowy and Bose too. At least one would be nice. Maybe the pretty one with a lot of weight. Watching the jays is always fun, but I can't help noticing the other life that is around too, the smaller life. I'm growing quite fond of Hermoso's mini-me's. How much the two of them look and behave like their dad. After a few days, I started to fondly notice a difference between them, their toes. One has pink middle toes only, and the other has 3 pink forward-facing toes on the right foot and 2 pink on the left. Now I can name them. The one with the pink middle toe on each foot is Hermosa. The other will remain as Formosa. Much easier than calling them the Formosas. Evenings have a new sweetness to them. Sleeping baby Hermosa and Formosa. True innocence. Fiona's little ones and Snowy's too are now at the age where they are curious about everything. Snowy just watches nearby. They are all learning to hide away food, well, kind of, and thievery seems to start at a very young age. Oh well, finders keepers. Finally, I got to see one of Feisty J and Nova's fledglings.
First time I got to see one of their babies.
I see one of Blue and Sweet Girl's a lot and have noticed that it has 3 pink forward-facing toes on the left foot, opposite to Formosa's. Although still being fed by Blue, it seems pretty good at handling peanuts that it finds on its own. I haven't seen Sweet Eyes around lately. Must have its wings, so to speak. I hope it's alright. In the area the jays have been sticking around, an adult white-throated sparrow has been coming by for peanuts. I think it has fledglings nearby.
Hello, guy. Pretty soon.
There is a young adult blue jay that has been hanging around lately. It's very trusting of me and will even take food from my hand. I think it's a young jay I knew from last year or the year before. He does the cutest thing, flickering his wings in anticipation of me throwing a peanut to him. None of the other jays do that. I think Flicker is a good name for him. Formosa seems to procrastinate over where the best place is to hide food, just like his dad used to. And Hermosa is really taking a liking to picking around with sticks and twigs. Funny how such an uninteresting thing can hold attention for a young jay. When he isn't consumed with twigs, Hermosa practices some vocalizations. I think I have a name for one of Snowy and Bo's, the whitish one. Sugar. That's what I keep calling her anyway, so why not? Sugar is already starting to molt. Juveniles only have a partial one though, and don't have their first full molt until the next year. Some of the adults are showing signs of molting too, like Feisty J. His feathers are getting rough looking. Blue preens a lot, and Sweet Girl 2 is showing a little bit of signs of molting. Finally, Sweet Eyes dropped by. Now that it's on its own and not being cared for by Mom and Dad, I guess she just comes and goes. I could see that it's in the middle of molting too. The funny thing is that taking food from my hand is now a thing of the past. I've always found that interesting how the babies, as they grow into juveniles, become more cautious. Smart birds. Sweet Eye's sibling was there too. Nice to see them together. One of Blue and Sweet Girl's offspring is gaining confidence and coming out with them.
Blue and Sweet Girl with one of their little ones.
The little ones are becoming more and more social and growing their independence quickly. Nowadays, whenever I put food out for the adult jays, pretty much all of the little ones end up discovering it quickly. Even a chipmunk is quick to find where the goodies are. I don't believe the jays think too much of those goofy rodents. Several times during my visit with the jay family, that white-throated sparrow comes by. Its fledgling is always near, waiting to be fed, sometimes following its parent. Typical daily temperatures are in or near the 30s, Celsius that is. That kind of weather gets Sweet Girl in the mood to sun those molting feathers, which helps to warm up and kill any parasites so she can easily remove them afterward through preening. It's not long before she is surrounded by a few baby jays imitating what she is doing.
They're all sunning around me.
Hermosa, and Formosa being one of them. Baby jays love to copy what the older birds are doing. How funny they all look. After their session, it's back to doing baby jay stuff. The young jay belonging to Snowy and Bo that I call Sugar due to how white her face is, has been getting on my hand lately. She picks around at my fingers and is just a real sweetie.
Baby. I was wondering where you were, you little sweetie. Oh, that's not nice. Oh, that's not nice. Sweet girl, they don't quite got it, do they, huh? They're silly. They're very silly.
I never meant for her to do this, but that's just how it went. Seeing the older jays and smaller birds coming to my hand is probably why. Not all the baby jays do that though. Hermosa and Formosa are very close to me but never ever try, and to be honest, I'm glad for that. I don't want to, and am not setting out to hand feed the young jays. In fact, I don't even like hand feeding the birds I already do. The only reason why I do is because they prefer it, and plus it keeps the squirrels from being able to take their food. Blue's undivided attention and care toward his young is slowly turning to a tough love. Keeping up with those ever-growing, demanding kids ain't easy. With them getting older and him beginning to molt heavily, it's time they learn to be more independent. This is all a part of the process. Watching the little jays bicker and play around together is something I could watch all day long. One fledgling belonging to Blue and Sweet Girl I've been seeing often. She reminds me a great deal of her mother and is a real jewel. In fact, that's a good name for her, Jewel. It's hard to keep up with all these jays and know who is who, so many don't even end up getting names. Only the ones I can positively identify time after time. I've never been in this part of the woods before. It looks like someone had a bridge or something built here. Hermosa ended up discovering a nail that was sticking out of the wood. I can only imagine the things that birds and other animals come in contact with from what people leave behind. I'll have to come back here to fix that. The babies take naps often throughout the day. After all, playing around and being super cute is hard work. Not all are ready for some rest, though. Hermosa, it seems, has an admirer, Sweet Eye's sibling. Isn't long before the little one is put in its place. I think I'm going to name that one Peppy. Pure peace watching them all nap. A couple of times when I come out, the party is broken up, with some of the jays in the woods just behind where I live, and others like Blue and Sweet Girl way further up where they initially were. I've grown quite fond of their little one I named Jewel, just something about her. Blue isn't feeding them as much, so I suspect that these guys will be on their own soon too. I think that Feisty J and Nova are trying to wean their youngsters also. Sometimes I find them way far up from the others, like 2 kilometers or more away. Feisty is losing his feathers around his face from the molt, so it won't be long before he is completely bald. Nova is looking a little rough now too. It seems that Mrs. must be hanging around up here as well. It was nice to see her. Judging by her feathers, she will soon be bald. This will be her first complete molt. By the end of July, Feisty J is practically bald. The others, Blue, Sweet Girl, Snowy, Bo, Nova, are still hanging on to theirs. Soon enough though, they'll be bald too. Getting to see Fiona has been difficult. She seems to hide away lately since being free from her babies. The other jays are all, for the most part, free from their youngsters as well, and back home claiming their section of territories. Of course, Blue and Feisty J can't be in the same spot without getting into it at some point.
You guys get in some fights, won't you? Huh? The heck?
The juveniles are now all grouped together far down close to where I live. The only adults that I know are down there with them all of the time is Flicker and Flicker's mate. Probably because their babies were hatched the latest, so that means they get the job of being babysitters for all of the fledglings. A few months back we had a windstorm, and it seems that someone's tarp blew into these woods. I was annoyed with it at first and had planned on removing it, but forgot all about it due to not going through this area for a while. Turned out to be a good thing for the jays because it collects rainwater, allowing them a drink or bath. It's been a very dry summer, so water sources are scarce. After seeing the jays using this, I started bringing some of my spring water to top it up for them each day. What a life these birds have. Sugar still comes around me and gets on my hand and is well into the molt. Jewel is doing really good with her independence and has a couple of buddies. Sweet Eyes and Peppy are molting heavily too. Formosa is doing great with its freedom, and Hermosa seems to have taken to my tripod just like his dad. He's even getting good at finding his own food. They are all such sweeties. Being with them has breathed life and pure happiness into me. I simply cannot resist these baby jays. To know them in the way that I do, camera and words just really don't tell the whole experience. Something much deeper within has occurred, a peacefulness, and for that they have my heart completely.